Dr. Ragland, good morning to you. You're on with Kerry Hines and LaSonia Nicole. Good morning, officially.
Good morning to you. I just want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. Good morning, LaSonia Nicole.
Good morning.
As well. And I just want to say thank you for having the foresight to have me on your show. I understand that your focus is hair, but you understand that ladies and men want to look beautiful from head to toe.
Yes,
we absolutely do.
Yes, and we got a lot to talk about. Yes.
Oh, you have no idea how much we have to talk about. There is so much to talk about this. I love hair. I'm telling you right now, if I wasn't a podiatric surgeon, I would probably be a hairstylist to the stars. No, I'm not joking you. My mother used to do hair back in the day when we used to call it hairdressing.
Okay,
and,
all right. You're going back. Okay.
Right, I'm going back. And sometimes I erroneously still call hairstylists hairdressers because I'm stuck in that. Back in the day. And so watching my mother doing hair, I just naturally have an affinity towards doing hair. Working with different textures of hair, I absolutely love it. It is it's a hobby of mine.
Wow.
There's just there's so much synergy here with me being on the show.
Absolutely. Doctor, I have to say, Dr. Ragland, I want to go back a little bit. I want to start at the beginning with you. You have an amazing career. You have an amazing career. So now, where are you from? And I know that you have practice, you practice in New York and out in the D.C. area, but where are you actually from?
So I am actually from the Washington metropolitan area. I was born in Washington, D.C.
Oh, awesome.
And I completed my undergrad studies at the University of Maryland. And
U of M.
Yes. And then go Terps. And after that, I did, during and after my undergraduate studies, the National Institutes of Health. So I don't know, a lot of people that may not be from the area might not know what that is. It's also abbreviated as NIH. It's like the mecca of research. Biomedical research. So and I did biomedical research in dermatology. I am originally from the Washington metropolitan area. I'm still based there, but I'm also based in New York City, where my flagship practice is. So I see.
Yay for us! I'm in New York.
Yeah. Well, everybody who doesn't want to come to New York.
Yes, there you go. We love everybody everywhere, but New York is it. Although these days we'll talk about that a little later, but New York was it.
New York is it, and that's the reason
why
I get patients. Yeah, that's the reason why I get patients globally. I mean, I have people flying in from all over the world, definitely all over the country, and it's an easy lure when you're saying that when you have a Park Avenue practice, when the procedures are done in Manhattan, it's easy to find a buddy to come with you. So, if you want to come with me to New York and help me out when I have my procedure done, and there's always a hand that's raised to do that.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Dr. Ragland. Like, I have friends who, my home is like a hotel, so my friends always want to come here. They could always, from out of town, New York, you're right. It's a big, big thing. And actually, that's one of the reasons that I keep the headquarters of Hair Radio LLC right here out of Brooklyn, New York, because I want to always stay on the, the cutting edge of what's happening in the world culturally. And it is the Mecca. It is the Mecca for that,
For
so
sure.
I am super, super hyped. Now, I have to bring to the line, and we've got some questions for you. I've got a lot to ask you I want to talk about, of course, we're going to get into some of the questions about, providing podiatric care, of course. But I also want to talk a little bit cosmetics, if you will, about, and foot care in general and the professionals and all of that. But my other favorite thing that I want to talk about, my side of it, is being a person in business and the entrepreneurial. You just don't talk the talk. You literally really live being an entrepreneurial person, inspiring women to be entrepreneurs. And I love that. That's what really caught my attention. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But I know I'm going to have my amazing co-host, Ms. LaSonia Nicole. She needs to jump on in because I know she's been chomping at the bit as well, Ms. LaSonia. And, and everybody's been so patient with us this morning. So I just thank all of our listeners. But, LaSonia, you go ahead and jump on in with Dr. Ragland.
Yes. Good morning again, Dr. Ragland. You come
morning.
so energized and so ready to go this morning.
She is.
I'm just all into what you're going to bring us and get us all excited about our wonderful feet care. But
Yes.
I did have a couple questions for you today. So one thing that, being in the beauty industry, there's a lot of standing on your feet. A lot of times, your feet are so exhausted and tired at the end of the day. Really, what are some of the things that you would recommend, with the feet care for someone who's standing on their feet all day? And how do you intertwine good feet care with having also good posture?
Okay, so first I want to start off with when I do surgery, I'm standing the whole entire time.
Right.
So just imagine doing someone's hair, standing over it because sometimes procedures take 3 hours, and you have to do that in a sterile environment. So there's certain things I can touch. There's a lot of things I can't touch. I have to be mindful of all these things, and I'm standing on my feet the entire time. So I really do understand what it's like to work and have to be on your feet the whole time. And so the first advice I'm going to give, which seems, pretty intuitive, is you have to wear a pair of shoes that's comfortable.
We can't wear our heels.
And you have to wear a pair of shoes that's comfortable. I'm not saying you have to wear a pair of ugly shoes. I'm saying you have to wear.
That just means that we can't wear 3-inch heels.
I wouldn't recommend it for the line of work. And I don't think that. And how about this? I don't think that any of your clients expect you to be in 3-inch heels all day long.
Oh yeah, I don't.
I just don't. I don't think that your clients. I mean, they expect you to come in looking presentable, but I don't think that they expect you to come in with 3 to 5-inch heels.
I call it a love-hate relationship. I call it a love-hate relationship. I have a love-hate relationship with my shoes, so I wear my shoes from the car to the door and from the door back to the car. Other than that, they just sit right there on display.
So here's the thing. I love that. And here's the reason why. Because you know how they tell you, drink responsibly?
Yeah.
Well, I say wear your shoes responsibly. So I never discourage women because my clientele are beautiful people that want to be beautiful, just like your clientele. And so I'm not going to discourage them from wearing the shoes that they want to wear, but I will say, okay, if you have to wear a pair of heels, make sure it's a pair of heels that you can tolerate wearing. Number one, if it hurts in the store, leave it in the store. Get something
exactly.
else. Okay, you got to get something else. If it doesn't fit, don't wear it. You're this type of like yourself, LaSonia Nicole, that you love wearing your heels or whatever. You should definitely bring a pair of safety shoes with you.
Mm-hmm.
In New York City, and I'm sure you see it all the time at the event, the ladies come in and they'll come in with flats on, and then you see as soon as they cross over that threshold. Either they make a beeline to the ladies' room, or even some events that are female-oriented, they'll have an area where ladies can sit down and switch out of their shoes that they wear out on the street. They have an area just for that, because they know what the wear and tear is like, especially for New Yorkers, are on your feet and your shoes. And actually, you're saving your shoes by doing that. I mean, some of these shoes are $700. You know, they go over $1,000. And wearing those shoes out on the pavement is a disservice to your investment. So if you want to preserve your investment, you can't wear those shoes out on the street, because they'll get scraped. The heels, on the heels, the pavement can scrape off the leather, and now the shoe's completely ruined. So wear your shoes responsibly. Bring your safety shoes with you always. The worst thing to do is be somewhere and your feet are painful, because when your feet hurt, everything hurts.
Right.
Wow.
So let me ask you this. What are your thoughts about going barefoot?
Going barefoot, well, see, my thoughts about going barefoot is, it's first of all, it's not very sanitary if you're out and about. So you don't want to go barefoot out and about. But if you're at home, if you're in your backyard with the grass, I think it's extremely therapeutic, and it actually puts you one with the earth. You know, your feet should touch the ground and feel the earth.
I completely agree with you.
Right. I mean, we all come, you know, I'm getting cosmic on you, but we all come from dust, from stardust. And so reconnecting ourselves directly with where we come from is very important. So going barefoot in places that are appropriate, I think, is great.
See, and that's one thing about me. So if you notice, I said I wear my shoes from the car to the door. So typically, when I even walk out of my house, I do not have shoes on. I'm a country girl.
Ooh.
So being from the country, I am always barefoot. I have a true love-hate relationship. Like, I have a bunch of shoes in my car. I have 2 shoe closets. And I love buying shoes. I buy them constantly. But to keep them on my feet is the greatest challenge for me, Dr. Ragland. I mean, it is a great challenge.
I have to say, though, let's
actually, why don't you turn that challenge into, instead of making it challenging, I would propose, like I said, if you have that safety shoe with you, I think that you should have that safety shoe with you so that you can be comfortable. I do recommend that women should limit how long they stay in their heels. So 2 to 3 hours, then give yourself a rest, switch out, give yourself a rest, and then you can go back into it. Give yourself a break intermittently, and then it doesn't become so much of a challenge. It becomes just part of the lifestyle.
Right. Exactly.
Well, hold it. I have to say, if LaSonia, listen, you're out in the DMV in the Maryland area, and I'm here in Brooklyn, New York. I said, but you would not want me for a neighbor or our Brooklyn neighbors, because you would not be walking out with bare feet. you would have a few treats waiting for you. My little doggy and all the little doggies around here, we'd see to you have a nice treat.
City,
you only would do that one time.
I don't live in the city, so if I'm
no, you don't.
I'm not walking bare feet, in the street, but I will absolutely go barefoot to my mailbox.
Right.
I mean, just the thought of it is hilarious.
And you have to understand that New York City is a unique microcosm.
It is a unique. Yes, you are right.
So it's so unique. It's so different than everywhere else. And
it is.
And we feel like everyone goes through what we go through, but they actually don't. So someone like LaSonia Nicole, I mean, I totally get it. I would be that person too. I would run out to my mailbox if you know, and I do run out to my mailbox when I'm in my Maryland location, you know, barefoot. It's not an issue. I don't have to worry about the same things that I would have to worry about in a densely populated area where man's best friend rules.
Like,
and
it is
leaves
hilarious.
all their little gold mines.
Yes.
And leaves all their little gold mines out there.
Trust me, if you they used to have the show. Remember well, this is really going back for some of our listeners out there. There was a show called Green Acres, and they moved one of the Gabor sisters from the city to the farm, and she had to get so used to it. That's kind of what you would have one day to go out from your door with bare feet in New York. That would not be a good thing. Trust me. That's all I'm saying.
Wouldn't do it. Period. I quickly can adjust to my environment. So.
I hear you. Well, let me tell you first, guys out there, folks. If you've just joined us, you are listening to the Hair Radio Morning Show, and I'm Kerry Hines. It's Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. Now, this is our broadcast number 428. 428 as we march towards our 500th broadcast. And we're talking about 3 hours a day, so that's 428 shows. That's a lot of talk time about hair and beauty. Now, with us on the line, of course, I have my great co-host. You guys just heard LaSonia Nicole out of the DMV in the Maryland area. And today our guest, now I have to say, Dr. Yolanda Ragland has been our guest on. She's helping us to kind of co-host and hold us down here for the hour here on the Hair Radio Morning Show live as we broadcast. And I have to tell you, Dr. Ragland, I want to jump on in. First, I have to take care of the business. Tell us exactly, you are the founder of Fix Your Feet. What exactly is Fix Your Feet? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, yes, I came up with this name, Fix Your Feet, when I was actually a podiatric student. And I realized very quickly while I was in school that there was a need for an underserved market, which would be African-American women. And so I tell ladies that I understand what it's like to walk in your shoes. Because what I found that podiatrists, well, let me backpedal. I found that Black women received undesirable results for surgery. So my practice is surgically oriented. I provide medically necessary surgery with a cosmetic result. And so I found that a lot of these ladies were receiving undesirable surgeons out there, had no clue to the expectations of a Black woman because they simply had no clue of what having beautiful feet means to this culture. I would see ladies that came in with these results with these big, long scars. It looked like someone just took a rake and scratched down their feet. And you can do those types of procedures with minimal scarring on Caucasian skin. It does not translate over into Black skin. Black skin heals differently. As I said before, I worked at the National Institutes of Health in dermatology, so I have some background there, even though dermatology is not my focus. Feet are definitely my focus, but I got a lot of foresight from doing that tour of research, and I took all of that with what I learned surgically and homogenized all of that and made sure that these ladies were receiving the types of results that they wanted. So I came up with my own procedure, and it's called the Tiara Toe Technique. And what it does is that I hide the scars so you can't see them, or when I close the scars, it's so minimal that it looks skin line on your foot. So replacing a bright white corn or even a dark pre-corn with a teeny tiny incisional scar that is barely detectable was the route to go. And by doing so, I basically have this niche product where I am really the only person I would say, in this country or probably in the world that focuses on fixing bunions and hammer toes with the outcomes that I get.
Wow. Wow. Is that, I mean, it's so, you would think it would be a little bit more common, though, but it's not. And that is because, like I said, you have that unique insight, which is just amazing. So you've been,
like
I
you
was just
said
gonna,
before,
yeah.
you mentioned that I am an entrepreneur, and that's absolutely
Yes.
correct. I would say that I'm more so an entrepreneur that just so happens to be an excellent surgeon.
Wow, I like that.
And that's the thing with medicine. I think it's very intuitive in the hair industry. If you're when you're in the hair industry, that you are an entrepreneur. I mean, like that's
Yes.
It's a given fact. But doctors don't really get that aspect of it, or most doctors don't get that aspect of it. And if you don't have an entrepreneurial mentality, you're not going to break those barriers or be able to surpass your competition.
I see. Wow. Now, Dr. Ragland, I have to ask you, and I just imagine this because I know it may be under the Fix Your Feet Foundation, the Fix Your Feet company that you started, but the Tiara Toe Technique, I just imagine a toe with a tiara, and I can't erase that in my memory now. What is the Tiara Toe Technique? You have to explain that.
Well, first of all, I came up with the name because I thought that I wanted to make the feet so beautiful that it could be bejeweled with
wow.
precious stone or precious metal. I think I wanted to make the foot so beautiful that you would want to bedazzle your foot. You want everyone to see your feet. I wanted the ladies that were hiding their feet in the sand or wearing socks to bed or wearing water shoes to the pool. I wanted them to take their feet out of the sand, out of the socks, out of the water shoes, and just show them to the world, and if they wanted to bling them out. So that, like I said, the procedure involves me either hiding the incision completely, so I'm doing it from an approach that there are very few people in the country will do the procedure this way, but there's additional things that I've added to the procedure to optimize it and to get the results that these ladies desire.
Wonderful. And it should be about preventive as much as possible. Are there some things that women can do, anybody do, in terms of preventive foot care, from, how do you avoid getting problems, so to speak? And we're talking about maybe some things that, maybe from wearing too tight shoes, things like that. What are some things that we can do kind of just to help us out along the way so we don't even encounter some of these ailments, if you will, or if they are avoidable, are they not avoidable?
Okay, well, the answer to the latter part of your question is yes and no. They're avoidable, and sometimes they're not avoidable. When it comes to bunions, that's a biomechanical issue, which means how do the muscles and tendons around the bony structures tug and pull? There's nothing you can do about that. You inherit your biomechanics. So bunions, a lot of people think bunions are formed because of wearing shoes or wearing heels. It can exacerbate the problem, but it doesn't cause it. Hammer toe or corns on your toes, on the other hand, it can be due to the biomechanics of the foot, but it is definitely correlated with wearing shoes. So you might still have, if you didn't wear shoes at all, you still may have hammer toes, but you probably wouldn't develop corns because your foot is not encased inside of a shoe where the skin is being traumatized or offended all the time. And that's the reason why these corns develop, because the skin is trying to protect itself, so it forms armor. And that's the reason why that's happening. So wearing proper fitting shoes, being responsible with how you wear shoes. If you are getting rubbing up against your foot, you can do things to proactively take care of this. You can wear something like a toe sleeve. I'm going to repeat that term, a toe sleeve, like on the sleeve of your shirt. And if you type in toe sleeve to Amazon, it's going to pop up. It's a tube. It has a little bit of a silicone cushion inside of it, and you can cut it to the size that you want it, and you can place that right over the toe that's being offended, and you can protect that toe from forming that corn or even the pre-corn, because some people have pre-corns that instead of it being bright and white and hard, the skin is still soft, but it's dark and it's discolored and it's still undesirable, and I fix those as well too. Wearing those types of things. The other things that you can do that's not even relevant to bunions and hammer toes is that a lot of people think that, oh, well, if I wear flat shoes, I'm fine. No, that's actually not correct. Wearing shoes too flat and wearing shoes too high, they're both not good for your feet. So especially for ladies and men that are in the hair care industry, wearing those super flat ballerina shoes can cause you to have a condition called plantar fasciitis, which is when you have that heel pain. A lot of people will take the first few steps in the morning. It's terrible. It makes you want to go down down to your knees. And after you start walking for a while, the pain dissipates. It goes away. But then if you sit down for a while and you get back up, it hurts again. So that's plantar fasciitis. And the way that you can avoid that from happening is you don't want to wear a flat shoe, because all you're doing is causing more trauma to the plantar fascia. We're not going to get into all that technical issue, but you're causing more you're causing more damage to the area that is already being traumatized. So elevating your foot or wearing a shoe that has a slight heel on it, even if it's 1 to 2 inches. Sneakers typically have a little bit of a heel on it. If you take a look at it, if you take a look at your athletic shoe, not just a pair of kicks, because most kicks are pretty flat. But if you look at your athletic shoes, they have a little bit of a heel on it. They have an arch support in there. All of those things will help you not to get a condition like plantar fasciitis. And the other thing that you can do are stretching exercises. So it's hard to describe what the stretching exercises are audibly, but if you just put if you just Google plantar fasciitis stretching exercises or heel spur stretching exercises, you'll see it. They'll pop up. They'll show you how to do that. And if you do that on a daily basis, that usually alleviates the issue. But if you stop doing it, it's definitely going to come back. And then there's some people where it's just like, even with the stretching exercises and with the changing the types of shoes that they wear, or using inserts like orthotics, which help prevent that stress on the plantar fascia. Even if all those things fail, then you move on to surgical options, and which is a very quick and easy procedure and gives you instantaneous relief.
Dr. Ragland, I have got to say, I love it. You come in fully loaded. Folks, if you are just tuning in, you're listening to the Hair Radio Morning Show, and today we have a very special guest. I'm so happy. I'm Kerry Hines, and, of course, my amazing co-host. You guys know LaSonia Nicole. She's with us as well on the line. And we have Dr. Yolanda Ragland, now a surgeon, literally a podiatrist, who is on the line giving us a lot of amazing insight and tips that I'm just sitting here writing. I said, one of the things you said to Google, the one phrase you gave, I said, well, I can spell heel spur. I think I can handle that one. That I can Google quickly.
That's why I switched it up, because I want people to be able to find this information.
Yeah. Well, listen, they're going to find it in several places. One will be to reach out and to seek your amazing treatment and services and all that wonderful good stuff. Now, I have to say, we have not talked very much about your amazing, the entrepreneurial side and all of this and where you fall today with what's going on out here in the world and any advice that you can give to the entrepreneurs and, on the business side and what they can do to just kind of muddle on through. We kind of talked about it at the top of the show. Any advice that you can give during these crazy times, and I know we haven't given you even a moment to grab a drink of water, Dr. Ragland. We just love having you today to share all this information, but anything you can say that can just offer that little inspiration to these folks out there who are the entrepreneurs and keeping it going at this time.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out, if you're an entrepreneur, and especially in this climate, things are changing rapidly, and you're going to have to learn how to change with those rapidly as well. And so now that we're in this quarantine era, you have time to research things. So use your YouTube University at this time. I think you should use this time wisely. But I would say the most important thing is to find out who your target audience is. And I know we're talking about black hair, so you're like, well, I know what my target audience is. It's black hair. But the thing is, there's so many different textures. You know that there's different textures, different styles. So find out who your target audience is. Is there a crack? Is there a sliver that's not being served in your area? You talked about natural hair. So even with natural hair, there's so many different ways that you could go off with natural hair and make your own unique brick and mortar or business by focusing on those things. So I'm sure that there's you're out there and you're saying, what do these ladies want? I'm sure someone came into someone's hair salon and said, this is how I want it done. And then you hear it 2, 3, 10, 20, 100 times. And if you're hearing this over and over again, that means that these people are not being served. So perhaps that is what you should be focusing on. Say, this is what I do. This is how I do it. And if you want it done the right way and the best way, you're going to come to me to do it. So it's not just, I just do locks. If you're the person that knows how to do locks and style the hair and all these gorgeous different hairstyles that we see, but we can't figure out how to do ourselves, then you should be that person. You should really, really be that person. And then from there, you grow and you bring other people in that are focused in on doing other types of things. So just like with my practice, as an analogy, I'm a podiatrist. I could do a whole lot of different things, but I'm a podiatric surgeon. I'm not just a podiatric surgeon. I'm a podiatric surgeon that concentrates just on the forefoot of the foot. So the forefoot, yes. The big toe and then the lesser toes behind it. So the toes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I focus in on doing those. And if I were to expand the medical side of my practice, I might say, let me find someone who does only pediatric patients, only kids, and then you bring that person in to do that. Doing everything does not make you a master. It's when you get really good and concentrate on doing specific things, that's what makes you the master. So it's just like any other part of the body.
Dr. Ragland.
Right. It's just like any other part of the body. I'm thinking, now I'm going back to medicine. So if you're like a plastic surgeon, or if you're thinking about having a breast augmentation, who are you going to go to? Are you going to go to the guy that does the face, that does the butt, that does everything? Or are you going to go to the boob guy? You're going to go to the guy that does breast all the time. So that's the way you should be thinking. Stay focused. hone in on that, and then everything else will follow thereafter.
Dr. Ragland, who were some of your folks who inspired you? You are so amazing in this information that you're sharing with us this morning. How did you get that spark that, I know that you're immensely trained, and you have an amazing pedigree education. But what was it that lit the spark in you? And I know, being around, I think you mentioned your mom or your grandmom and doing hair and stuff. But what was it that lit the spark in you that says, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to help folks, and you've been really helping folks. You've helped people today. So what was it that lit that spark?
So I would say that in general, I think that I always had this entrepreneurial spirit. Even when I didn't have a professional degree, wherever I worked, I never thought of myself working specifically for the business that I worked for. I always thought of myself as an independent contractor. So when I worked retail, so I sold shoes for many years. So I had been exposed to feet very, very early on in my life, and feet never bothered me. And so I like I said, I got to this point where I'm just like I am. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm at home and I got
that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. No, I was just wondering what lit that spark in you that kind of pushed you in this area.
Well, like I said, I always thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I always thought of myself working for myself and never working for business. So when I sold shoes, I was making commission. When you're making commission, anytime you're making commission, you are working for yourself. Okay,
that's true.
If you don't think of it that way, then you're not an entrepreneur. You always have to think of it as working for yourself. So what led the spark was that I was a late bloomer. I didn't start podiatry school until I was 30 years old. And I decided that, retail is not for me. I found that I was smarter than all of my superiors, and that was annoying. And so I just said, you know what? I said, you know what? I'm going to go to school. I know I have to work for myself. And I had been sick a couple of times. I felt that the services that I was receiving as a Black person was lacking and wanting. And so I wanted to go to medical school to know what these doctors knew, because I felt like they didn't know anything. And what I found out was that they didn't, or they weren't giving me the service that I needed because of who I was, an African-American woman. So, and that's another whole discussion about, racism in the healthcare system. So I decided that the spark that led me was after being sick for many, many years and no one understanding what my issue was. And then when they found out what the issue was, it was something that they could have figured out so simply in 5 minutes if they had even cared about me as a human being. So what set me was that I need to be in this profession because I have family and I wanted to be in that realm so that if anything happened to any of my family or friends, that I would either have the know-how or the resources or the people to talk to find out the real information when it came to, my body and my loved ones' bodies. I thought that was very important to me. And I guess that's just another reason why I really focused on African Americans, especially African American women.
Wow. Well, I have to say, yes, Dr. Ragland, you bring it. You bring it. Listen, folks, I'm going to try to get you back here too, Dr. Ragland. I'm going to try to get you back here next time without all the technical welcome, right? We will have any of those technical issues next time. But I have to say, yes, before we, kind of wind down here, I do want to say you helped so many people today. I learned a lot. I have my pen in hand literally right now from taking notes on what you said this morning. And I rarely do that. So I have to say, I know good stuff when I hear it, and I know the fans of this morning broadcast, this is what they tune into the Hair Radio Morning Show to find. So, and to the listeners that we have our replay folks who join us at noon to listen to the replay of this broadcast over at Storm Radio 24/7, where we're in the business profile section, so they'll be able to hear this as well. So folks all over the world are amazing fans. You are helping them this morning with this information. And the fact that you just in so much with the entrepreneurial lane and the medical lane, and just I'm just blown away, and we thank you so much.
Well, Kerry, I'd like to also leave some more messages for people out there, because this is about growing a business. And like I said, times are changing, and they're changing at a very fast pace. And so I want people to know that me starting this practice, it was not easy. However, I started it with absolutely no money. And this is something that can easily translate to people in the hair world, is that I found somebody who was at the top of their game. I convinced this person that, I need to be in this practice with you. There's nobody else that's more suited or better suited to help this practice grow. And so this person, gave me a chance with the handshake. We are partners to this day.
Wow.
And that's because I brought something to the table. So this was a Caucasian male that was dealing with, I would say, half of his clientele was African American women, but he did not. He doesn't understand. He didn't understand the culture of it. I mean, he understood that Black women wanted this, but I don't think he really understood culturally what that feet mean to the Black culture, and that's what I brought into it. Number one, so I was able to start a practice with no money, come in, make money for somebody else. I made him a whole lot of money, and then we got to a point where I'm just like, okay, I'm making you a lot of money. I'm doing well too, but I've earned the right, for partnership, and so we negotiated that. So we became outright partners. And when I say partners, is that he still has his own practice, and I still have my own practice. We are two separate entities, but we work together, and that's on cost, on overhead. And now we have this dynamic because, like I said, he's a Caucasian male. I'm a Black female. That whole dynamic, now we have this practice where there's something for everybody. Like, everyone
I love it.
Can come into it. There's so many people that could look us up and be like, oh yeah, I think I like her, or oh yeah, I think I like him. And that's in having us two with our two separate practices, but they're independent, but they're kind of co-joined as well. That's important. The other thing that I want you guys, that I want everyone out there to understand, is that social media is so important out there. And I see the hair people out there doing their social media, but I still think that they're doing it, but I still feel like they're not investing enough. Because I see all these companies these businesses that are selling hair and wigs, and I know that these are not African American people selling these hair and wigs. They're coming from other countries, and that's because, and the reason why they're getting the lion's share of the market is because they are putting some money into it. And the great thing about social media, especially platforms like Instagram and Facebook, is that advertising and promoting your posts is so cost effective. I mean, you can literally take $20 and you can reach thousands of people with $20. And I have to tell people that I get most of my patients that walk through the door will say, when I ask them, how did you find me? They found me somehow on either social media or from browsing on the web, or from browsing on the web. But more, I have more now. So it went from, I used to advertise on the radio. I started out on the radio because and what I did was, and this is a great, I love this story. So I said, okay, I'm going to advertise on the radio. And I just so happened to be advertising on the radio that Steve Harvey broadcasts from. And I asked the person that was selling me the advertisement, I said, hey, you think you can get me on the Steve Harvey show? And this was before he had his television show.
Right.
And Family Feud and all that. And I didn't think she was going to say this, but she said, Dr. Ragland, I think I can arrange that. And so sometimes you just got to ask.
Right.
All I did was ask, do you think you can get me on the show? I went on the show. He enjoyed me so much that I got invited back on another 2 times. From there, I emptied out my piggy bank. Okay? I mean, I cleared all the funds. I paid the man his talent fee, and I started having him do live reads for me. And from that birthed my Maryland practice. And from, I would say, the first week that I started in my Maryland practice, I had over 20 patients come in. And that's a lot. That's a lot for me, especially when you're talking about surgical consultations and you're explaining things to people. So that's a lot. It takes a lot of time. And just from doing that. So invest in yourself. Don't just post and put things up there arbitrarily. If you post something and you got a lot of hits on that, take $20, $40. Boost it. When you boost it, it gets more eyeballs on it. Now you get, and when you get more eyeballs on it, you're getting more followers. When you're getting more followers, they're seeing what you're doing over and over and over again. So it's really important that you change with the times. And now, I don't even know, TikTok is out now. The young kids are doing that.
Right. I
got to start doing that, too, because you don't know what the next big platform is going to be. So all the new platforms, when the new platforms come out, don't hesitate. You got to start. You got to get in on it on the beginning, because all those people that have those big, huge followings, most of those people started out with the platform when it first came out. So all you guys out there, if you're doing Facebook, if you're doing Instagram, if you're on YouTube and you're not doing TikTok and you're on Twitter and all those other things, because I call those the big 4, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Those are the big 4.
Right.
You need to be on 4 of those. But now I'm going to say you're going to have to add TikTok to it. Because
that's right.
A lot of people are doing TikTok. So I would say if you don't have a TikTok handle right now, you should at least secure even if you're not using it, you should at least secure your handle, because the handles are going to go away if this blows up.
Right.
And it's free.
That's right. In fact, Dr.
would...
Ragland, you hit it on the head, because I have a guest coming up at about 8:30 today. A wonderful interview that we did with this young lady who did a video on TikTok, and she just shared it yesterday. Somehow I saw it, and I invited her to be on the show. So just the idea, you are so on point. And I have to tell you, I have to go and set up I'm setting up a TikTok at 9 o'clock this morning. I'm setting up a TikTok account. I'm setting up a Zoom account. These are platforms that people keep saying, Kerry, are you on Zoom? Are you on this? Are you on that? And I keep saying, no. I keep hearing about it, but I haven't taken the time to commit to it. And what is that saying? Yes,
another
about
big tip that you just mentioned. You mentioned Zoom. Another big thing.
Yes.
Everybody's sitting at home right now. Nobody can do hair right now. This is the time. Get down and do those. And not only that, because they're going to become so important because everyone's telecommuting right now. Buy some stock in Zoom. Buy some stock.
Yes.
And you're sitting around home right now, and you're wondering, oh my God, what am I going to do? How can I make some more money? Purchase some stock. Everything's low right now. I mean, I think I went and bought shares in Delta Airlines and Carnival Cruise
Well, that's
Line
one of our sponsors, so thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes.
Oh, if it's Delta is like the reason why I purchased Delta was because it's the only way I'll fly because I feel like they're just the classiest airline
awesome.
out there.
Yes.
And so that's why. So if you're sitting around right now and you're figuring out, what am I going to do? Well, take a few dollars. The stocks are down, and trust me, people are going to start flying again, and the stocks are going to go up.
Well, I have to tell you, it's like you're psychic, Dr. Ragland. I have our events. I also do 3 live hair expos a year in Atlantic City called Hair Nation Expo. That's my 3 live trade shows. I'm the only African-American 3-day business or Afrocentric focused live hair events for 3 days in the Northeast. No one else has them except me here and our company at Hair Radio. So they're called Hair Nation Expo, and Delta Airlines is our one of our sponsors, along with Budget Rent-A-Car for the Expo event. So you're absolutely right, and I have friends who actually fly and work for Delta Airlines on top of that, and you are so correct. You have just hit it on the head. And I come out of the stock world. I think most of the folks out there, I have a background in securities, and that's what I used to teach as well. So right now the market is ripe. You are so on point with that. Please, it doesn't take a lot of money. And Dr. Ragland, they always say, this, there are only a few ways that you can become rich. And one of them, of course, is to invest in education. Absolutely, absolutely. The other is through the stock market. And the stock market is essentially like free money.
It is, and like I said, you look at the businesses that are tried and true, and if, like I said, at a time like this when most planes are grounded, I'm in New York City. I don't even think I've heard anything fly overhead in the last days. and one of my friends, and that's the thing, I speak to them every day. They're like, well, I was supposed to go out today, and I was supposed to, but they keep delaying those flights right now, and it's a tough time, and but that's why we do this show. That's why we do it. It's also a time of opportunity. So if you're like wondering what's going on, this is the time. What you're going to do, how you're going to make money. If you've got a couple of dollars squirreled away, I would say even if it's a couple of shares, it doesn't matter. And I would say every month you should have a budget and say, okay, every month I'm going to purchase, a couple of more of this, or look into it. And like I say, always go to YouTube. You can find advice there. And just see how things are trending, because these can be little nest eggs for people such as ourselves that are entrepreneurs that don't have pension plans. So you should definitely be thinking about doing these type of investments early on.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you, the one thing we're going to continue to invest in is Dr. Ragland. My goodness.
Yes.
I tell you, Dr. Ragland, you're just a breath of fresh air. Yes, I have to really say. And, before we go, is there anybody, and I want to say I have to shout out to your team and, of course, to Marissa, just an outstanding, just great communication. You just really, you bring your A game. And you have an A+ team. So anybody you want to shout out to this morning?
Definitely Marissa Feinberg. She's my PR person.
Yes.
I want to shout out Greg Iorio. He is the person that actually turned my business around. So, like I said, there was a point in time where my practice kind of like flatlined. And that's because, like I said, I was doing radio, but radio wasn't bringing in the patients. So I went out there, I networked, I found what he calls himself a business coach. He now manages the practice. And I would say that everybody should have this sort of person on their team if they are going into business with them, because these are the people you need to be busy doing what you are good at doing. And that's, doing hair. For me, it's doing feet. And if you have somebody else out there, and it does cost money, but you will get a return on your investment because that money is being well spent. That person can go out and say, okay, I know the person who's really good at SEO optimization, like your search engine optimization. I know the person that knows how to do marketing on these social media platforms. He's the one that introduced me to Marissa Feinberg to help me with doing the PR thing. That's why we have you here, because Marissa's, she's looking around for any sort of platform that I can speak and get my voice out onto, and that's what everybody should be doing, and regardless of what type of business there is, get on all those any way that you can get your voice out there, get it out there. People are listening.
That's right.
And then I also have another wonderful team. There's Veronica Shackelford. There's Annie Chang. There's Christina Moeller. I have so many people. Sylvia Guevara. I have this great team that surrounds me, and I want to point. There's two other things I want to point out behind that. The first thing I want to point out, and I love this because I've been ahead of the game. Since this quarantine, there are a lot of people that have to work from home. And what I did over 4 years ago was that I hired a lot of these people, and I've always allowed them to work from home. So I have a couple of, so the Annie and Christina that I just mentioned, they live in California. Okay. They live in California. Their desire is to be an actor. But they need to make money. There's always the starving actor. They need to make money. And so I allow them to work on their schedule, on their time, and they get the job done. And what that does, when you allow people to work independently like that, first of all, you're allowing them to still do whatever hustle they're trying to do. So they're happy with that. And because you're allowing them to do their hustle, and they don't have to come into an office for a set amount of hours and just be confined to that office to doing that. You're allowing them to go still stand in the line for auditions, okay, because they can do all this work from the phone, from a cell phone. They can talk to anybody from the cell phone. And what that does is that it actually lowers how much I have to pay them, as opposed to somebody I have to pay to travel to come to work, because that person has to pay for gas and transportation. You have to pay for food. Now this person can work from home in their pajamas. They don't have to get dressed up.
Exactly.
They don't have to burn it. They don't have to burn any gas, and they're happy. You pay them something, favorable, but it's not going to be the same as if you had to hire somebody to come into the office. And I think with this whole quarantine thing, this is going to demonstrate and it's going to change how business in corporate America does its work, because what they're going to find is that these people are still getting the work done, the same amount of work, if not more, from home than they were at work.
So that means they may not bring you back, so you got to be ready and prepared. And I think that's what this is all about.
Well, no, I think they could I think they would keep you. I think they could keep you. If they're seeing you that you're being even more productive. Yes,
you're talking about the folks. Yes, I'm sorry, the ones who are at home and they see that you're. Yes, I see what you're saying. Absolutely, and they're more inclined because they don't have the overhead.
Right, and so maybe moving forward as they hire more people, because you don't want to get rid of those people that have been there and have been doing the work well.
That's
and if they're
true.
doing even better from home, you want to keep those people because those people are going to be an invaluable asset to you. Those people are going to help train the new crop that you bring in that you may not have to pay at that higher tier. They can actually be independent contractors. And so all of this, all these things lower your overhead. The other thing I want you guys to know right now during this time of quarantine, because businesses are closing down, is make sure you guys ask for money. Right now, it's important for you to get. They have those SBA,
the loans,
SBA business loans,
or money,
and it was difficult. It was much more difficult to get those loans before, but now, because they see what's going on and there might be an economic collapse, they want to make sure that businesses stay intact and healthy. So they're making it easier to get this money. But even if this wasn't happening, what I would tell you is that when you are at your peak and you are making a lot of money, make sure you go into a bank and secure either another line of credit or get another business loan, because you never know when things are going to flatline, like right now. So if you were that hair salon that was bringing in, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per week, and now everything's shut down for 3 weeks or however long it's been in your area, if you had secured that business loan, that line of credit, when you were making all the money, you'd be able to take care of all your overhead. So it's really important that you get capital and ask for capital when you're doing well, because they only give you money when you're making money. They don't.
That's what I was saying, when you don't need it. No,
yeah, they give you money when exactly. They give you money when you don't need it. So you have to ask for it when you have to ask for it when you don't need it, because they want to see that the last 3 to 6 months that you've been yielding
turning
a good
profit.
margin.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
They want to see that. Yeah, they want to see that you've been doing that. When you come to them and you've been broke for the last 6 months, guess what? Your loan's not going to go through. It's not going to go through.
Right.
But I still don't want you to be discouraged if it doesn't go through, because what I did, that happened to me. I'm telling you from experience. That happened to me. I went in, I tried, the business flatlined. I tried to get some money. The bankers, they told me no. But because I worked with a smaller bank, and it wasn't even a bank, it was a credit union, that's another thing I would recommend everyone get into a really good credit union, because credit unions are not for profit. And they use, and they're more personal in how they approve or reject loans. And so even when I went there, I called them back up because I could speak to a human. It was, working with credit unions is more humanized. So I spoke to this person. I was like, listen, you would give me $50,000 right now to purchase a car. I've been in practice, I had been in practice for over 10 years successfully, and now my business has slowed down, and now you don't want to give me money. And so we went back and forth, and I said, well, what do I need to do to get you to say yes? And they told me what I needed to do to get them to say yes. And I made sure I checked off all those marks, and I came back to them in a few days, and I said, here, this is what you need. And I shoved the paper in their face, and the next thing you know, that money, not only did I got twice the amount that I wanted after being rejected.
Wow.
So when people say no to you, if you're going to be a business person, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to have thick skin. You got to keep going at it. You got to keep asking for it. People are going to say no, and you got to keep going until somebody says yes.
Exactly. No just means not now, right?
There you go.
I love that. I love that. Well, Dr. Yolanda Ragland, I have to say, we are always just you. I mean, you are it. You are it. And being an entrepreneur, being a foot surgeon, just really doing their thing to be so inspiring out there with all that you're doing. And you've given really practical knowledge. It's not some knowledge that just rides right over our heads. You've given really good information, and we can't say anymore. I have to say, you are just doing it this morning. Now, so folks, is there any way that they can connect with you, or shall we have them contact us here at Hair Radio, and we'll put them in touch with whatever you'd like to leave us with, because I want to remind them that you do have practices out there, and any which way we can get folks involved or connected, we are happy to do so.
Well, okay, so first I want everybody to know that the practice name is Fix Your Feet. I'm going to say that again, Fix Your Feet, and everything spelled the correct way. I came up with that name because I think that people will remember catchy phrases versus a doctor's name. I mean, how many patients come in to me and I'm like, who did your feet? And they can't even remember the name of their doctor that actually incised on their body.
Right.
Wow.
And they can't even remember the names of it. So just remember, Fix Your Feet, all the platforms. If you put in Fix Your Feet, you should be able to find me. But I am Dr. Yolanda Ragland. I don't think you're going to remember that, but I think you will remember Fix Your Feet. A lot of people will say Fix My Feet, and I'm sure it'll pop up even if you say Fix My Feet. But I am FixYourFeet.com.
Wow.
My handle on Instagram is Fix Your Feet. My handle on Twitter is Fix Your Feet Inc. I have a Fix Your Feet business page on what do you call that? Facebook, and
Facebook, sure.
Yes, and I do believe my YouTube channel is Dr. Yolanda Ragland. I do have a Fix Your Feet YouTube channel, but I don't think it's active. So even if you put in Fix Your Feet, I should pop up there, the Dr. Yolanda Ragland, the Queen of Toes, the Foot Fairy, and I'm not your grandmother's. Yeah, and I'm not your grandmother's podiatrist unless she's fly.
All right. Okay. Wow. Well, Dr. Yolanda Ragland, you are just doing it up, and so we just love it. We're going to have you back really soon. And I have to say, first of all, we thank you. You were supposed to just come on and do a few minutes, and we just loved every single thing, and so we cleared our programming for you. I just love it. Awesome. Awesome. This information is absolutely amazing, and we want to thank you for being on the Hair Radio morning show. And just we're going to have you.